Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and I hope you all had a happy holiday season. But with 2021 coming to a close, I figured I'd be talking more about these movies that have been coming out the past few weeks. Big award contenders, a lot of them. And that definitely goes for the one I'll be talking about today, which is Nightmare Alley, directed by Guillermo del Toro, in his follow-up film to 2017's The Shape of Water. Now, this is the thing about Guillermo del Toro. I mean, Shape of Water, I think, is one of the best films from the past 10 years. Absolutely deserved to win Best Picture that year. I mean, that is cinema at its finest. That is why I go to the movies. So, you know, granted my expectations are very high going into the Nightmare Alley, at least before the reviews came out, because once the reviews started to come around, they were saying, yeah, it's really good, but, you know, it's not his best work. It's not on the same level as Pan's Labyrinth or Shape of Water or Hellboy or any of that. So I was like, okay, you know, like, I'll go in expecting a decent creature feature. And you know what? It really isn't even that. I wouldn't even go as far to call it a creature feature in the way Pan's Labyrinth or The Shape of Water is. Because this movie, it's so interesting because it's a remake of a 1947 film by the same title. And a lot of stuff here is very, very much about period detail. I think the best part about this movie is the first 25 minutes or so, where you're following Bradley Cooper, who's the star of the movie. He's just going around and you're just watching him silently observe all these conversations or all the stuff that's going on within the carny world. And you really don't know much about him. You're kind of left in the dark about his character at the beginning, which I do really love about the movie, if anything, because Bradley Cooper is the reason you watch this movie. He's magnificent. I think he should be nominated for an Academy Award. I think this is probably his best performance after A Star is Born. This dude can act. Like, he can really act. And so, yeah, this is definitely his show. But obviously, you got a great supporting cast around him. You got Rooney Mara, who's probably, you know, in the movie the most out of all the supporting players. You got Cate Blanchett, who perfectly plays the femme fatale. You know, very mysterious, very sultry, very sexy. You know, she hits all the points that you'd want out of, you know, a great femme fatale in a neo-noir film. And you also have Toni Collette is thrown in there. Ron Perlman has a little bit to do, not too much. David Strathairn is really, really good in it. And of course you have Willem Dafoe, who's creepy as all hell in this, as you'd expect from Willem Dafoe, depending on which one you're getting, but this is more in the lane of The Lighthouse. Unfortunately, he's not really in the movie all that much, and I guess I was a little let down because I figured he might have been in it a little bit more. But then again, that's not really an issue. That was just an expectation I had going in. So, the thing about Nightmare Alley, I mean, this thing is beautiful. Dan Lawson shot this movie as he shot previously The Shape of Water with Guillermo del Toro. And it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. I mean, there's one shot of Bradley Cooper sitting on a couch and the house is just in flames around him. It's absolutely stunning. You got that really, really kind of subdued color palette that was kind of in The Shape of Water. It's probably a little bit more boring here. This is not necessarily a complete negative, but Shape of Water, there was something about The Shape of Water that visually just popped a lot more. But still, it is a very, very good job. And unlike last time where Guillermo del Toro had Alexandre Desplat, here he has Nathan Johnson, who does provide a very good score, albeit not my favorite of the year, but it definitely stands out a little bit. I have been singing this movie's praises a little bit so far, but here's where I'm going to get in some negatives, because this is far from a flawless movie in the way I feel The Shape of Water is. And I think a lot of that has to do with the pacing. I think once you leave the carnival stuff is when it really starts to drag. Now keep in mind, I was very tired seeing this. We had a very long day at Disney Springs in Orlando, Florida. We just saw Spider-Man earlier in the day, and then we went and saw this, and it was a little tiring. So maybe that was part of the reason why I wasn't as into it. But I really do think the pacing does suffer regardless. And I just don't think the movie's as interesting after the first act of the movie. It really isn't. And, you know, after a certain point, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm enjoying this, but, like, where is this going? And luckily, by the end, it really picks up. And I mean, talk about an ending. The ending of this movie is just... wow, I mean, I don't want to give it away, but I was really caught off guard by what they did, especially with Bradley Cooper's character. I think that's really the reason you see this movie, is the character arc he goes on, and it's just one of those things where you're watching a train wreck unfold, because you know something bad is going to happen, but you don't know quite what that's going to be, and I don't really think you understand Bradley Cooper's true character until right up to the very end, which is great because you want to leave your movie on a high note. I think this one does that fairly well, but then again, I also think that it is a little bit of a slog in the middle, but I don't think that makes it a bad movie, you know. It's still a really, really solid picture. Now, do I think it should be nominated for Best Picture and all that? I mean, I wouldn't be upset if it did. But honestly, you could do better. And I think Guillermo really could have done better. But hey, it's cool that he's trying something different. This man has really been garnering a lot of acclaim over the past few years and kind of creating a more mature style from just his previous films earlier in his career that were much more focused on like the visual effects and the practical effects and all that. And you get some really great moments of gore here. I was really caught off guard by that. But then again, I shouldn't have. It's Guillermo del Toro, but he's definitely maturing a lot as a filmmaker, and I think this is kind of within that canon of films. But yeah, really, I can't say this anymore, but just go see this movie for Bradley Cooper. I think this is a really solid picture. I think it should be nominated for quite a few technicals at the Oscars. If it got in for cinematography, I wouldn't mind. I don't know if it made the shortlist for hair and makeup, but it definitely should be in there. I also think that the production design is beautiful. That should get in there. Costume design. I'm probably missing a couple, but really that's kind of what I took away from the movie. It isn't flawless, but I do think it is a solid effort all across the board. Technically very solid, but then again, just not the most compelling movie overall when I'm watching it. But there's no doubt it does leave an impact by the end. And yeah, it was a really solid watch. And so, with that being said, I'm going to give Nightmare Alley a 7.5 out of 10. Well, that's it for this review. So thank you for tuning in today. And rest assured there will be more coming your way very soon. Keep a lookout for my Spider-Man review and West Side Story and many more to come down the pipeline. Especially Licorice Pizza. That should all be coming to you in the next couple weeks. So if you like what I'm doing here, hit that like button, subscribe, and if you dislike it, I'll only see it. No one really cares anymore for some reason, but hey, that's just the way YouTube runs things nowadays. So you guys, have a great day, and I'll see you around next time.